This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome to 479 Spotlight, where we provide free promotion to local businesses in NWA, give them more exposure, and create more trust in the community. Overall, we want to provide an inside look to our local business heroes that keep NWA running. My name is Brock Holland, a small business owner in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and founder of 479 Spotlight. Today we have Carly Fox with Fox and Design, based out of Bentonville, Arkansas. And to clarify, if you're going to look her up, the domain is foxanddesign.com, but our logo will be Fox Plus Design. And I'll make sure to have that on the site here on the interview. These interviews typically have two main focuses. First, we're going to address any potential customers that might want to use Carly's services, and then we'll be talking more about Carly's story from an entrepreneurial perspective for anyone that might be interested in getting into this either niche or just curious about the process of becoming a business owner and entrepreneur. All right, Carly, let's start with this in one sentence. What do you do?
What do I do? Well, I am an interior designer and I mainly serve busy professionals who are looking to remodel their homes, furnish their homes. I work in living spaces mainly.
Okay.
So I say, yeah, and I also work with architects and do
Okay.
commercial and multifamily spaces as well.
Okay. Fantastic. And how long have you been doing this?
So my business has been up and running for about 3 years, but I've
Okay.
been in the design world for over eight.
Awesome. 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 And you kind of already touched on this, but let's just clarify again. Who exactly do you serve? Who would you say is your ideal customer? Let's get a little more deeper.
Yeah, so my ideal client tends to be either families or couples or singles that are busy working professionals. So people who are looking, they might have just bought a new house that they need to furnish. They might be looking to remodel, and taking on a project like that would be a lot to add to their lives with everything else that they have going on.
Sure, sure. And that was leading into my next question was basically, what problem are you solving? You're basically addressing the time constraints, how much effort it takes to do this for these busy professionals and families, correct?
Yeah, and people are surprised once they get into the process, how many decisions have to be made along the way. So sometimes I call myself a professional decision maker,
Ah,
because I'm there to guide my clients through that process. But aside from saving people time, there's also an element of cost if you don't work with a professional designer. If you hire a contractor or builder without working with a designer, there are things that you can run into that end up costing you more in the long run. Kind of like avoiding mistakes that are costly, something
perfect.
that I
No,
can
that
help with.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great perspective. Something that don't always think of just because, someone can do it doesn't always mean the best person for the job. And this, I've got a couple other design friends, and what you're describing is so true. Like you need to have somebody come in and make sure everything's laid out so that that installer or that construction crew can come in and actually know exactly what's going to go where and why and make sure it's going to fit properly. That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, and also just I want to mention too, it's really great for clients to have someone that's representing their best interests, because
Mm,
typically with a builder or a contractor, their main focus is getting it done quickly and as cheaply as possible, which
mm,
often conflicts with the client's interest, which is they want something that's a great quality that's going to last and something that they will love. So it's nice to have that third party to kind of balance the power
mhm.
and represent those best interests for the client.
Yeah, no, that's a great perspective. All right. Well, if somebody in Northwest Arkansas was to be making a decision between maybe your business and two to three others, doing the same thing, why would you suggest that they at least give you a try first?
So there are a few things that make me stand out. One of them is that I specialize in custom designs. So I do a lot of built-ins, special pieces, like I designed a large brass clock for
Hmm.
a nonprofit last year. And I don't shy away from those really unique custom elements. So that's one aspect of working with me that's different, but also the education that I have and my background in working with architects. gives me the training that you want in a designer when you're taking on a remodel or working with any tradespeople. You want somebody who can read plans, who can create their own plans, who knows how to coordinate between tradespeople,
Mm,
especially when you're dealing with builders and that sort of a thing.
okay. So then after somebody does a project with you, what do their lives look like, after they have used your services?
Yeah, so, I always dive into how a family or a client lives in their space. And that's the very, very first thing that I do because my purpose is giving them a home space, if it's their home, that is going to make their life easier in the long run. And so it's not about just looking beautiful because for me that's kind of a given. It's going to look beautiful when we're
Okay,
done.
right.
But that is well thought out. And that, for example, your kitchen has been laid out for the way that you cook
Mm,
or don't cook, you know. And your living room is laid out for your unique scenario. Maybe you work from home, maybe you have kids that you have to keep an eye on. Who knows? Everybody's different. So what I want my clients to take away or what I want them to experience when they're done with me is just that their lives have become that much easier and better.
sure. Okay, awesome. No, that's perfect. So kind of along the same lines, do you have any tips or advice for someone that maybe is thinking, hey, I can do a design project, on my own, or maybe they are considering, hiring somebody. Um, the point is somebody says, I've got to do something with my house. I want to do some design stuff. What tips or advice would you offer them to get them started on the right foot?
Well, I would say try to hire a designer first before you go to a contractor or a painter or a builder
Hmm.
for the reasons I've already mentioned. But just getting someone on your team that can help guide the whole process, because even budget, some of those beginning elements are tough to figure out on your own when you
Mm,
don't have the experience or the knowledge.
right.
So I would say hire a designer first and then do it as soon as possible, because right now we're just seeing crazy lead times for furniture. We're seeing huge demand on lumber and other materials.
Right.
And in order to end up with something that you love and that's well thought out, it takes an investment of time. So the sooner you can get started, the better.
Okay. No, that's great advice. I know what you're talking about. I've talked to, builders in this space, and supply is getting tight and costs are increasing. So yeah, definitely the sooner the better. All right, awesome. Well, how can someone buy your services? How do they get into contact with you?
So you can visit my website, and on the contact portion of my website, there's a place where you can sign up for a free call with me. And
Okay.
that's the first step with getting started, is
Oh,
just for
right.
us to, yeah, we'll have a Zoom call and get to know one another, find out if we're a good fit.
Hmm.
And then, of course, I'll go through my process and all of that and hear about their project as well.
Okay.
So that's free.
Um,
And you can sign up on my website,
yeah.
which is, should I say the web address?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's foxanddesign.com,
Perfect.
foxanddesign.com.
Nice. So go on there, get a free call consultation. And we're talking offsite consultation, right? That's our first step.
Yeah, the
Okay,
first step
perfect.
would just be to meet over Zoom and to learn a
Right.
bit more. Yeah, the
Okay,
next
awesome.
site.
That's great. All right, well, let's make a shift here in the interview and let's take a look at just your life and kind of how you got here. This is what I would say my favorite part. So what made you want to start this business?
Well, I've always wanted to start my own business. I think
Okay.
ever since I was little, it was always part of my vision that I would have my own business someday. I'm not sure if that's just from the example that my dad set, because he started his own business when I was around high school age, or if it was just kind of that bug, that some people get.
Sure.
But I've always kind of walked my own path. I've actually never held a standard full-time 40-hour a week job. Um, I've always mixed the things that I want to do. I'm a creative person. I started out actually in dance in the performing arts. So, yeah, so owning my own business was something that I wanted. And then when I went to design school and really fell in love with architecture and interior design, I knew that eventually I would do this.
Have your own. Okay. And what was the toughest thing that you went through when you were trying to get your business off the ground, just getting started?
Actually, I've been through a few tough things.
Okay, that's awesome.
And yeah, so the first one was I went through a really traumatic and unexpected divorce right at the
Okay.
beginning of starting my own business.
Hmm.
And then the next most difficult thing would be COVID, would be 2020.
Right.
And
That was definitely going to come up later, but let's talk about it now. Bring it up.
yeah, so that paired with the choice to leave New York City and move to Northwest Arkansas in the middle of COVID, which
Sure.
meant moving a service-based business from
Hmm.
the place that I had lived for the last 11 years and developed all of my connections to a totally new location
Hmm.
where I knew no one. So those are the three main big challenges that I've been through. And I was thinking about what helped me get through each of those.
Hmm.
And what's interesting is I will say that I've worked with two business coaches, and that was fantastic. I'm really glad that I did that.
Okay.
But I think keeping my connection with family and friends has been essential. Remembering that, like, my business is not everything
Right.
and that I don't live for my business. And so keeping those relationships strong and prioritizing them despite everything else really has, I think, allowed me to keep going.
I was going to ask if there was, one person, product or service that made a huge, positive shift, but you've mentioned family, you had a couple business coaches. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that that covers it. Yeah, I would say if I'm picking one person, probably my mother,
Okay.
because she's that one that I can pick up the phone and call at any time,
Always
and
in the
she'll,
corner. Yeah.
yeah. So it's really
Awesome.
nice to have that.
So if you could start over from day one, is there anything that you would do differently?
Hmm.
I mean, okay,
Hmm.
I mean, besides taking away COVID and,
Well,
you know,
sure.
yeah, yeah, I'm talking about,
Of the things that
business
I
wise.
can control,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Yeah. I mean, I would say having a better understanding of where to invest my time. When I
Okay.
first started my business, I was very caught up in the work itself and was missing some of the other pieces that are so important when you own your own business, like
Hmm.
marketing and visibility, business development.
Hmm.
So I would say training myself in the beginning to um, kind of portion off my time to all of those things.
Yeah. Time management, if I would sum it up, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been good at managing the time that I have, but I would say like what an awareness of what I need to be assigning it to, if that makes sense, or focusing
Okay.
on.
Right. Prioritization. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Um, so then you moved during COVID. Uh,
Hmm.
and if this isn't too personal, did you know anybody in Northwest Arkansas, or you just like picked it out of a map and just said, I'm just gonna jump down to Arkansas of all places?
Well, thankfully, I knew my boyfriend who we actually met in New York, but he's from
Okay.
Little Rock.
Okay.
So Bentonville was on his radar already, and
Hmm.
we were kind of looking around at different places that we could move to because both of our leases were coming up and New York City was completely shut down,
Hmm. Yep.
and we didn't know when it was going to reopen. So we knew everything was going to be online no matter where we were. Um, so, so yes, so I knew him, and he has family in Fayetteville and then also in Little Rock.
Okay.
So that's been
Sure.
good.
Okay. So not completely random, but a little bit probably for you random.
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, we're so happy to have you. I hope that you've been
Thank you.
welcomed with open arms.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. All right. Well, so then in regards to COVID, let's go back to how you moved here. What kind of, pivots did you have to make in what you were doing in New York City versus what you had to do here? do you have any big changes that were just out of the ordinary, or anything unique that you did, or maybe you just plug, press forward? What happened?
Well, I was fortunate that I was already set up to be online and do
Hmm.
most of my work remotely.
Hmm.
I love to travel. I've always had multiple interests. So even before COVID, when I worked in New York, I worked out of a co-working space and I did everything on my laptop. I definitely have all of my physical samples, which I love, my tile and wallpaper and all of that.
Okay.
But I keep those in storage.
Right.
I don't rent a physical office, and that's on purpose.
Sure.
So it was nice when COVID hit that I was already comfortable working remotely. Um, I would say the place I had to get out of my comfort zone was moving here and needing to meet people and make connections in the community.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I just spoke with Rachel Corpella, who runs nwanetworking.com. Have you ran across that site yet?
I have not. I will have to
Okay,
write that
I'll
down.
I'll connect you with that. Then you'll enjoy that. So this kind of leads to my next question. So someone's jumping into this. What are you doing right now to bring in customers? You already mentioned networking. Any particular tools that you're using, or methods that you're using to bring in new business?
I would say the methods would be making personal connections. That's where I'm most comfortable. So, but I'm joining different organizations like the Chamber of Commerce here, going to
Hmm.
events.
Hmm.
I got on a committee. I'm already the chair of a subcommittee.
All right, good for you.
Yeah, I joined Blake Street House here in town, and I just keep networking and meeting people, going out for coffee and whatnot.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, what was the second part of that
Well,
question?
I guess I'll just kind of lead this for you. Like, any online methods to bring in new business, or
Oh,
are you running ads at all, or I mean, are you doing anything like, budget wise, besides just your own personal efforts?
mm, yeah. So I did take out a print ad because the Chamber of Commerce let me know about it for the business guide, for the local business guide.
Hmm.
I have been uh, consciously investing more time in Instagram, my website, and actually I
Personal
just
social media.
hired someone. I just hired a graduate from the U of A who's also an interior designer, and she's
Hmm.
going to be helping me with my marketing and visibility.
Okay.
So she's setting me up with a better Pinterest account. It takes a lot of work to set all of these things up
Right.
and keep them going. So I
Right.
recognize I needed help with that, and I'm excited about her help.
Okay. Awesome. That's great. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, then, for anyone that might be listening that may be able to serve you, what's a major challenge that you are facing right now that someone listening might be able to say, "Hey, I can help you with that."
One interesting challenge is the fact that I have my business in both New York and in Arkansas.
Okay.
So I'm looking for. Sorry if there's a bunch of background noise. We can wait. If is it all
I,
right, or should
I
we
I
wait
do
till
hear
they finish?
somebody, but yeah, if you want to give it a minute, that's fine. But I can
Yeah.
hear you fine if you want to continue.
Well, so I was just saying that I could use some help from an accountant. This is very specific, but an accountant who has experience with businesses in New York and in
Oh,
Arkansas.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So you can run
So
both sides, and yeah, from one through one bookkeeping. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, so it's interesting. Interior design is actually pretty complicated from a bookkeeping standpoint because
Hmm.
I'm considered I collect and pay sales tax to the state,
Hmm.
and so having a business in both places, um, it's a little bit more than I had anticipated.
Yeah,
Keeping on
yeah.
top of all of that.
Okay. Let me. I'm gonna pause you for 2 seconds.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right, now we're back on. I had a tour going through where Carly was at, so we're back live here. So, um, we're almost to the end here. So you're looking for a potentially a bookkeeper, very specific, that could look at managing your books in from an Arkansas perspective, but also in New York, because you're trying to
Hmm.
run business in both locations. Okay, perfect.
And if they've worked with an interior designer, that would be fantastic.
Oh, wow, you're asking for a lot now.
Hmm.
That's great.
Well, I'm still
Okay,
looking.
well, hopefully the word gets out then. Where do you see your business now that you are here in the next, let's say, 6 months to a year?
Yeah, I see my business growing. I mentioned that I just hired someone. I'm really excited about working with her
Hmm.
and taking on other outside contractors. Like I might
Hmm.
hire someone to do some marketing for me,
Hmm.
some branding potentially. And then aside from doing what I love, which is remodels and design, I'm also thinking about a project that would be sort of an additional source of income.
Hmm.
I don't know if this is part of your question.
It's open book. You can talk about whatever you want,
Yeah, so
mostly.
I'm wanting to put together these design kits that I can sell online, which would
Okay.
be a room design that's done by me, but you would purchase all of the information for what's in the room and you would implement it yourself.
Oh.
So you're kind of like taking my design ideas and executing it and applying it to your own space.
Hmm.
And it would be fully online, really easy for people to just grab it and go.
Hmm.
And what I like about it is that it's fully virtual.
Yeah.
So, everything that you would purchase would be purchased online. Um, you wouldn't have to go to the store or interact with someone, in person. So I think COVID brought up this idea, and it's something that
Mhm.
I wanted to do. But I think that it would work even outside of the context of COVID.
That sounds cool. Very cool. All right. Well, just to kind of wrap up here, let's pull this all together. And this is, I guess, my one hardball question is, what is your why? What is it that gets you up in the morning to do this, to motivate you?
I think my why is one, having a positive impact on other people's lives through what I do.
Hmm.
That's really important to me. And then two, having that same positive impact on my own life, sort of crafting the life that I want to live through
Right.
my business.
Awesome.
And yeah, I think it's not easy to do, but um, it's definitely worth the struggle.
Yeah, it's not easy to do, especially with the plethora of other distractions that potentially could get in the way in the year that we live in now. That's what I feel like. That's my personal experience, anyways.
Yeah.
All right, fine. So, shameless plug time, one more time. Best way for
Mhm.
someone to get in contact with you to purchase your services or to hire you?
Go on my website, Fox and Design, FoxandDesign.com. Visit my Instagram. The handle is the same at Fox and Design. Yeah, just reach out there. And you can always email me too, Carly at foxanddesign.com, Carly.
Nice.
Love to
Awesome.
chat.
Okay, awesome. Well, again, this is 479 Spotlight, and our mission is to provide free promotion to local businesses in NWA and to give them more exposure and create more trust in the community. To get noticed or notified of new interviews, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube by searching 479 Spotlight or by going to 479spotlight.com. And if you are a business owner and would like to be featured, just schedule your interview on 479spotlight.com. Thank you for joining us today and keep having fun, NWA. Carly, do you have any last words?
Nope.
Great.
Have a great day.
Awesome. Have a great day. All right. Well, I hope that people get in contact with you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brock.